Hello, I'm Brigantia Blackbird of the Blackbird Grimoire. Welcome to the daily forecast for Saturday, March 2nd, 2024. I want to wish you a very good morning and a happy Loki's Day. The reason why I choose to honor Loki on Saturdays, because I know it's all very controversial associating with him with Saturdays, but the reason I do it is because of just what a magically potent day this is. And of course, Loki is one of the most transformative and magical deities that I have ever worked with. So today we honor Loki, or at least you have the opportunity to. Now, the day's astrology, we don't have a whole lot that's different, so I'm not going to do as in-depth of an examination of it. But suffice it to say, the sun is still in Pisces. The key word for that is compassion. Our moon is void of course. It will enter the third quarter Sagittarius, which is a mutable fire sign, which represents optimism. So do something today that is going to cultivate your own inner fires. Be adaptable, be adventurous, satisfy your curiosity, and you'll be able to make good use of this particular moon as it goes into its new position. Mercury is still in Pisces. The key word for that is creativity. Venus is in Aquarius, intellectual. Mars is in Aquarius state, which I realize it's odd, but we went into that yesterday, so we won't cover it again. Jupiter is in Taurus, so be sure to take that practical approach to all your projects today. Saturn is in Pisces, which is the key word nostalgia. Uranus is in Taurus, which is renovation. Neptune is in Pisces, imaginative. And Pluto is in Aquarius, which is reformation. So this is still a lot of get up, get it done kind of energy. But with the moon shifting into Sagittarius, that's getting us into a little bit more of a happier place. Things, well, at least we're able to look up. Perhaps we are looking for more so the benefits of our situation rather than its detriments, and seeing how even our detriments can yield us opportunities. So I hope you make very good use of today's energies. Now, the moon phase, of course, is still waning. So meditation, balancing, banishing illness, banishing anything really. That's a good way to make good use of the moon. And because it's going to be a Sagittarius moon, do focus on teaching, philosophical conversations, activities like hiking or anything that's physical. Just get out there, exercise your body, exercise your mind, exercise your heart even. Just be a doer today. And here's some things to avoid: cramped spaces, unsolicited advice, both the giving and receiving, and pointless arguments. So this may not be the best day to spend much time on social media platforms like Twitter. Just saying. Now, it is a day of Saturn, and when Saturn is in Pisces, that is creating an atmosphere of introspective spirituality. Now, the planet Saturn is about restrictions, whereas Pisces is about dreams. So we can let this put us into conflict, or we can use it as an opportunity to mature and let our progress be seen through our deeds. Of perhaps understanding that perhaps some of our dreams weren't necessarily meant to be. Perhaps we were wasting our energies, and perhaps we have dreams for whose time it does not yet come. And understanding that these things progress in their own way, and we also have to contend with just the realities of our external environment. Saturn has much to teach us about that. So that's that. Now, for today's tarot card, we have the Seven of Wands, and quite a dramatic picture of it we have as well. Now, in this deck, the number 7 represents illusions of all kinds, illusions from others, illusions within ourselves. Because it's a suit of wands, think fire. And the keywords for the card are integrity, assuming responsibility, and overruling objections, which I think the artist did a fantastic job in creating all of those things. The figure in the card is going that direction. And yes, they're facing opposition, and it just doesn't matter. What they are doing, they clearly feel that they need to do, perhaps have a duty to do, and they're just going to do that. And if that means, dealing with a few bumps in the road and a few whacks from a stick or having to fight things off, then, that's just the way that it goes. It has absolutely nothing to do with their determination or their ultimate aims. And as far as overruling objections, it's this is what I look at this card. I think the objections that the figure is encountering just don't matter. It's not necessarily overruling after a long, prolonged argument. It's just saying no. No, I'm not even having that conversation. I am not entertaining this. I've got something to get done, and I'm just going to do it. That's the overall impression that I'm taking away from this card. So, as you're thinking about what it means for you, perhaps you are facing a challenge and you just need to buckle down and get through it. Perhaps the time for talking really has passed and it's just, I made a decision, I'm carrying out the decision. And that really is that. Perhaps it's that. Perhaps you're looking at the big bad world and you're just seeing some of the things that are going on that are understandably disturbing. There really is no other word for it some days. And you're just saying, you know what? The rest of the world is going to do what it's going to do, but I have decided what I am going to do. I've decided what I want. And if I'm not going to have it, then the world is going to have to take it from me. And, good luck to them with that. Just a little bit more of that warrior's attitude. Perhaps it will affect you that way. And just for a question of contemplation, if you're meditating today, thinking about, are there areas in your life where you just need to summon up this attitude, summon up this confidence, and just say, yeah, I'm going to do what I'm going to do. So something to take with you today. Next up, today's Celtic triad. 3 things which show a true human: a silent mouth, an incurious eye, and a fearless face. So this is interesting and somewhat counterintuitive. So I thought about how we might interpret this. So I thought silent mouth, perhaps that could be referring to discretion and tact. People are very careless with their words and very careless with the things that they convey just generally, both verbally and non-verbally. So being more discreet, being tactful, understanding that we can say things, perhaps quite necessary things that perhaps may not be the most welcome message in the moment. We can do that successfully if we choose to phrase it in such a way where the message is getting across and not necessarily any ire or hostility that we might feel surrounding the situation. That's what tact is. Then an incurious eye. I thought about this a lot because curiosity is generally encouraged. Uh, can you imagine where we would be if pagan peoples had never gotten curious about anything? I mean, my goodness. But I thought about it in this context, and I thought an incurious eye could be referring to minding our own business. Again, this is something that is very much out of fashion in today's world, but that doesn't mean that it isn't beneficial to do. Maybe we do need to be looking to our own affairs a little bit more and be somewhat less concerned with what other people are doing. And then a fearless face, courage. My goodness, do we need courage now? Everything that we're really being pushed towards in our modern era has been about making people cowardly, making them afraid to say or do or think anything, making them shirk away from their duties because they're afraid that it might cost them something. They might have to sacrifice something. So cultivating courage, I think that's good advice just generally, but particularly in our current day and age. Don't give in to the people who want to intimidate you because that's just the first step. Once they have you, in a more submissive position and you're going to go along with whatever they say for fear of the consequences, that's when the games really begin. And that's when people get drawn into doing things that really do go against their conscience and their principles. So sometimes being brave at the beginning can save us a lot of struggle later on in life. Now, for today, the intention has to do with crossroads. And I chose this not only because it's one of the associations with the color black, which is our color for the day, but also because it is Saturday. And Saturday, with all of its magical energies, it's tied with, all of the elements. So that's just ideal for getting some magic done. And, whenever we're working magically, we're coming up to a crossroads. Sometimes literally because that's where we're where we're performing our spells, but sometimes much more so metaphorically. We're standing in a position where we can make different decisions that will create vastly different effects and will take us to vastly different destinations. So thinking about that, where are we at our own personal crossroads? That's something that's interesting. and helpful because, especially if you're watching this and you're a witch, we're always doing something. We're always up to something. But also, so a plant associated with the crossroads is the myrtle. Animal the raven, which, probably comes as no surprise to you. And for stone, smoky quartz. And I chose smoky quartz not only because it is associated with crossroads and it also visually goes along with our other visual examples for this intention, but because of its properties as well. Smoky quartz is a very handy thing to do if you are dealing with unwanted energies or if you are concerned about receiving hostility. Is a very protective stone. It can shield you and it can also project away. It can push all of the nasty energy coming your direction away from you. So it's a very good stone to have in general, and especially if you're doing any kind of crossroads magic or you're making very big decisions, smoky quartz will be your very best friend. So also ask yourself, what decisions with far-reaching consequences are you wrestling with today? Because most everybody has something going on. So looking inward, not being afraid to look inward, and just facing what you have to face. That's what this is all about. Now, for our pagan practice today, first off, do you have any unfinished business left over from winter, and what are you doing to settle it? Don't have the business of winter dragging on into the spring. Get things done. Tie up your loose ends. Then next, if you're able to, light a bonfire, perform a working that's appropriate for you, or in absence of a bonfire, because of course there's a lot of reasons why you couldn't have one. If you're living in an apartment, I don't think your landlord would be very happy if you did a bonfire in the living room. That would lead to a very unpleasant conversation, I'm sure. But also, if you happen to be living in an area where you're experiencing drought and you might be under a burn ban, obviously you want to be careful with the flames. You don't want to be doing anything outside. So, as an alternative, you might consider doing some candle magic today. Then, of course, meditate, connect with all of the elements: earth, air, fire, water, spirit. These are all associated with Saturdays. This is just the ideal day to get in tune with those things. So make sure that you do that. And that can also be very grounding. So if you've been stressed out or feeling just harassed in general, taking a moment, connecting with these elements, that can help you recenter and ground yourself. Next up, which deities do you best connect with when it comes to the study and the practice of magic? Perhaps they deserve a little bit of attention, perhaps even a thank you today. Good time to do offerings. And then, of course, study the planet Saturn, its spiritual, magical, astrological qualities, as well as what science has discovered about the actual planet itself. Do some studying on the god Saturn and his associated lore. Now, today's picture, we have a nighttime view of a field of wildflowers. If you are in an area where you're starting to have some wildflowers come up, maybe see what they look like, under the night sky. It could be very pretty. Just something to think about. But the journal prompt I want to leave you with today is, what did the dark months of the year teach you? Because they always teach us something, not necessarily lessons we wanted to learn or we were in the mood to learn, but nevertheless, they were lessons. And so we can derive some benefit from them. So let's not get in our own way. Let's not be the reason that we are not making progress. Go ahead, look at those things, even if they're a bit difficult. It'll teach you something invaluable, and that makes life easier later on down the road. So that is it for today's daily forecast. Let me know what you thought and what you think of this general new format in the comments section below. I would love to hear from you. And of course, I hope you'll tune in tomorrow where we go into this again. But bye for now.